Robert Halfon, a very busy time for you as a Conservative MP. Can we start with Owen Patterson? The way you voted in Parliament, what message do you think you sent out to the people of Harlow?
Well, first thing can I say, and I promise I will answer your question, but I always work hard in Parliament. I work hard for Harlow. I work to try and build an even better Harlow. And only this week I managed to secure £3 million extra for skills, for Harlow College, for businesses to employ apprenticeships. £3 million extra. Only a few months ago I got £23 million for Harlow for the Towns Fund. So that's where my priorities are, and I think most residents know that all I do every day is try and work hard for Harlow and get more investment into our town. Now, in terms to answer your question, because I think it is important to answer your question for Harlow residents, I did not vote. If you look at the motion, because there's been a lot of misinformation in the media, a lot of fake news, I did not vote to exonerate Owen Patterson. What I did vote for was to allow an appeal system, and the only reason why I did that was on compassionate grounds, because his wife had committed suicide during the inquiry, and it was said because of the feeling that the inquiry had not been fair. Now, I didn't know I don't know the full accuracy of that, but that is the only reason why I voted in the way that I did. If I'm honest with you, I regret voting in that way, and I perhaps made a mistake, and I was talking to a Harlow resident outside a cafe early this morning about it, but I did it on compassionate grounds because his wife had committed suicide.
Because again, but the way, I guess there's going to be an impact, there could well be an impact for you, consequences of a local MP. You've got to let the voters decide on that. But it just seems what happened. Didn't you think it fundamentally took the ladder away from your ladder of opportunity philosophy?
Well, these things happen to MPs across the board. So on Friday, for example, yesterday, there was a Labour MP, Claudia Webb, who was given a suspended jail sentence even because she threatened to throw acid on a rival. Labour have had loads of sleaze problems with many MPs, the Scottish National Party, all of them. I never say anything about these people. My opponents were very quick to criticise me on this vote, which I did purely for compassionate grounds. They never say anything about those people, and I never say anything about, because what people want in Harlow is they want an MP who works hard for Harlow and brings millions of pounds of investment into our town, our advanced manufacturing centre, our skills, and £3 million for skills and
Why
other
do you
things.
think this was a three-line whip?
I don't know, but I didn't vote for that on the grounds of I don't want to lie. I don't want to say, it's the easy thing for me to say to you is that we were told to do it by the government, right? Three-line whip. A three-line whip means that the government managers tell you that you have to be in the lobby and vote with the government. It's a bit like a football manager telling your team how they have to play and what positions they're in. But I didn't do it on those grounds. I did it because I felt that his wife had committed suicide during the inquiry, and I felt I was voting for an appeal system. That's the only reason why I voted for it. And I think people who are fair-minded will understand that, and perhaps I should have voted on the issue itself purely, maybe, and looking back in hindsight, if I did it again, I probably if this ever happens in the future, I will just vote on the issue itself.
But these whips officers can be pretty ruthless. It can be pretty ruthless in those corridors that you work in, and unverified stories saying they were threatening some MPs with taking away their levelling up money. Is your government playing with you mentioned all this money for Harlow, is your government playing with the money for Harlow? Going to take it away from
let's put it this way, I voted 6 times against the government. 6 times, that's one of the highest records of any Conservative backbencher. I'm in the higher league. I voted against the government on free school meals, so I wanted them to fund free school meals. I voted against the government on universal credit. I voted against the government on domestic violence. It's not an easy thing to do when you vote against the government. Despite that, we've still got hundreds of millions of pounds coming into our town. The £3 million only announced this week in terms of our new skills investment fund for Harlow College and businesses to employ apprenticeships and skills. And so I will vote according to my conscience. On this particular occasion, as I say, I voted for it because of his wife having committed suicide during the inquiry, and it was felt that part of the reason because she felt that the inquiry had not been fair, and all I was doing was voting for an appeal system.
You've been very, very considerate here, etc. I understand there are other MPs, Conservative MPs, Red Wall MPs, who have made their feelings very well plain to Owen Patterson. in very colourful language. There's a lot of red wall MPs, lots of working class people who put their faith in Tories who were not happy.
Well, I can understand that because it's a very difficult vote. By the way, every party has these problems. As I said, there's a Labour MP who almost went to prison for threatening to throw acid on somebody, only on Friday, all in the news. But look, if this happened again, I would probably vote in a different way. Maybe I should not have voted just on the grounds of compassion, because, as I say, his wife committed suicide. It's easy to look in hindsight when you're going through. You have to go through the lobby. You have to make decisions pretty quickly. But perhaps I would have voted in a different way. I can understand why MPs are upset about it, because this guy was found to have lobbied. Who, by the way, I should stress, the individual concerned, Mr. Patterson, that you mentioned, is no friend of mine. I know him as a colleague in Parliament, but I've never socialised with him, so it was not for that reason that I voted in the way that I did.